Let's take a look at Pam Bondi and junior varsity Vance over the next 6 months to see if maybe we can get some clues about what's going to go on in the country. Welcome to Scrying Out Loud. My name is Trevor. First off, a huge thank you to everybody who's subscribed to the channel. Thank you for liking, watching, commenting on the videos, sharing the videos, promoting the channel on your own social media platform, hyping the videos and watching the videos all the way to the end. Really help the algorithm spread the videos to more people. We're approaching 35,000 subscribers, which is crazy. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. So Pam Bondi and junior varsity Vance. When I scry on those two, I don't see Bondi lasting for 6 months, but we'll see what the cards have to say. And I see junior varsity Vance is having a really difficult 6 month period. So let's start with Bondi first. She keeps getting caught in lie after lie after lie, um, bringing cases that shouldn't be brought. I expect there to be lots of lawsuits against her soon, and particularly from Letitia James and James Comey. So let's see. What do we need to know about Pam Bondi? So we're doing October through March. Do we need to know? Oh, Pam Bondi. It just, I don't think she's happy, which is interesting. I think she puts off this energy of kind of a Five of Pentacles, kind of a, you know, being left out in the cold, not having a seat in the table. I know she's the Attorney General, but I don't think she's calling the shots. I think the felon is on a lot of levels. We get this surprise at the beginning of October or in October. This could be a number of things. It could be the felon leaving the planet. Um, we get deceit, deception, dishonesty in November. And we get the Tower card going on in December. And if you remember, December was a really good month for the resistance. So that's quite interesting from yesterday's reading. So it seems to all be aligning really well. We get the Two of Cups in January, new partnerships, and we get the truth being revealed or about to be revealed in February. And in March, we have the spy in the camp. I think this is going to go exactly like I've been seeing. I think, they're going to try to cover up their deceit and deception. It's not going to work. She's going to get fired. The truth is about to come out, and there's somebody in the office that's willing to tell about it. And there are things going on behind the scenes that we can't see with the high priestess. So these are not good cards to start with, but we should do the full reading. So what can you tell us about Bondi over the next 6 months, please? Can you tell us about Pam Bondi over the next 6 months? Tell us about Pam Bondi over the next 6 months. Yeah, we get the Seven of Wands to go with the Ace of Cups, so defending oneself here in October. Things going really fast in November. This is interesting. We do get the Empress in December. To wait and see what that means a little bit. We get ill health, needing to rest, or resting in January. and we get guardrails being put up in place in with the Nine of Wands in February, and then we have death in March. So we have the lovers underneath here too. Unlikely partnerships, choices, contracts. It does feel like, the energy around her leaving is kind of at the beginning of the year. Can you show us about Bondi over the next 6 months? Show us about Pam Bondi over the next 6 months. Show us about Pam Bondi in the next 6 months. I think when the felon goes, she gets more and more isolated. I think the scrutiny becomes really immense. I think I think lawsuits start to pile in too. I think people start suing her. I just do. We get the King of Wands. This is an eloquent speaker. Democrats are, grilling her on Capitol Hill, I think today or tomorrow, or maybe both days. We get the Tower again in November, and we get the Felon in December. We get Justice, yeah. Justice in January, circles of support around money in February, and we get the Hierophant in um, March. Underneath, we have circles of support and celebrations, the Three of Cups. This very much feels like she takes a new job over here, but has to deal with the repercussions of the way she did this current job. Okay, so can you tell us about Pam Bondi over the next 6 months? Six. I think the Epstein stuff sticks with. I think it doesn't go anywhere. I think maybe they refuse to release it even if Congress votes for it. We have the Star Card of Hope, protection for the country, circles of support around money, the Three of Pentacles. We get the Eight of Wands. Things like kind of really start going out of control in December. And we get to January and we have fiery messages being thrown back and forth. And in February, we have this kind of shocking new beginning with the Ace of Cups. And then we have the Democrats in March, the King of Cups. Underneath, we have the Wheel of Fortune. I do think very much her fate is turning one way or the other. Here, it does feel like a pretty rough 6 months. Just about Bondi over the next 6 months. There's a lot going on over there. We get pausing, suspension, waiting, seeing things from a different perspective, the Hanged Man. And we get fighting, the Five of Wands. And then we get temperance, moderation, and December. And we get planting seeds, new work with the Seven of Pentacles, harvesting, reaping what you sow, bombshells and surprises, and another ace too. This is the third ace in this column in February, which is very much new beginnings. And then we get the Ten of Wands, which is the end of cycles, going along with the Death card as well. And underneath, we have the Six of Pentacles, giving and receiving of money. So it feels like in October, there's just surprise after surprise. The way they're handling the Epstein files, the way they're handling Comey, the way they're trying to prosecute Letitia James, it's just beginning to be too much. And they're having to defend every one of these positions because none of them are sound. And Democrats are pouncing on it with the King of Wands. The country's being protected, and we're just going to have to wait for this to play out with the Hanged Man, which is unfortunate that we have to wait, but I think that's the way it works out. And then in November, we get the deceit and deception being exposed. Things start coming out really quickly. Once someone breaks, it all comes out very quickly. And their whole facade of trying to run the Justice Department remotely sanely just disappears. Um, they'll still have some support around money, but for the most part, there's just a lot of fighting. So I think she still has the support of then President Vance. But December comes, we get the Tower again, more things coming out. We get the Empress card, which it does feel like Russia, but it also just feels like the lack of nurturing. Um, and we get the felon, and maybe it's the Russian felon connection that comes out, and it comes out quickly. And we get temperance, which of course is after death. So, none of this comes out before he dies. And we get new partnerships in January. This was like a new job. She's needing to rest and relax. She might not start it right away. Justice is sort of served, meaning she's gone. And we get fiery messages coming forward about the things she did. And, she's taking some things and walking away. And then when we get to February, we have, this new beginning, this truth, and guardrails being put up in place, which I think is protection to the DOJ. I don't think it's done intentionally by Vance, but I think she has to go. That part's intentional. She'll still have her supporters, but then we get this surprising new beginning and then a shocking new beginning. So she probably takes a job with, Fox News, something along those lines. Uh, the spy in the camp is telling everything, particular around, I want to say Epstein. It's just a tarot reading. It could be, I could be right, I could be wrong. Um, the death card's the end of this dark cycle that we're in, right? I think that's what it is, but it could be more than that as well. We get the church, the court, and the government, and I think this is her being roundly criticized and cases being thrown out. The Democrats taking full advantage of this, and here she is with all these burdens and needing to pick them up one by one. So it seems like a pretty terrible 6 months for Pam Bondi. So I'd be surprised if she's still Attorney General in 6 months, but you never know. It's possible, but I don't think so. I think there's just too much baggage, and I think Junior Varsity Vance is going to want to start things over. So I think that's the real kicker for her. Is he's going to want his own government, his own people, and that's not going to involve her. Okay, so what about Vance? Pretty sure he takes over sometime in October, November. What it feels like. Could be right, could be wrong. But even if October's not correct, it's not much longer than that, right? We're not talking about years or anything crazy. Um, I mean, all you have to do is look to see how bad the felon looks and acts and uh, how incoherent he is. All right, what can you show us about junior varsity Vance over the next 6 months? Show us about junior varsity Vance over the next 6 months. I think he's in for a rude awakening. I think he thinks there'll be this honeymoon period of people celebrating him, which in most circumstances I think there would be, but not in this case. He tells about Vance over the next 6 months. Excuse me. Take a sip of my tea. Okay. Lots of volatility in October. That's to be expected, I would think. And the Ace of Pentacles, which could be a new job, a new beginning, a new career in November. We get ill health in December or needing to rest. We get the World card, the end of a cycle. Perhaps a life cycle, but perhaps it's just the end of the way things have been being governed. Don't get me wrong, I don't think he's going to be a great president. I don't think he's going to go against the mold greatly or anything like that. But I do think he'll respond to public pressure more than the felon because he'll be able to go up for election, right? Versus the felon won't. We get justice in February and circles of support around money in March. Excuse me. This feels like just a ton of chaotic energy, is what it feels like. It's a lot of energy. And we have the truth being revealed underneath. So this very much feels like somebody who's thrown into the presidency. Can you tell us about junior varsity Vance? We get the Fool and we get Temperance, which is, I think, pretty astute. The card after death and then a new beginning. Shows about junior varsity Vance. Junior varsity Vance here over the next 6 months. We get the Knight of Cups, emotional messages coming forward, learning information in October. We get Temperance. I think this is important in November. Just the fact that it's the card after death and we have the Ace of Pentacles above it, I think is really signifying something. We do get Strength. And then we get Deceit, Deception, Dishonesty in January. And then we get the Nine of Pentacles, having everything one wants, maybe not everything one needs. And then we get the Ace of Swords again, the truth coming out. It very much feels like, and we have a surprising new beginning with the Ace of Cups, an emotional one at that. It very much feels like he takes over in this time frame, and you know, maybe there's a slight honeymoon period. There could be. I don't think it's going to be very long lasting. He shows up junior varsity Vance for the next 6 months. Shows up at junior varsity Vance for the next 6 months. Shows up at junior varsity Vance over the next 6 months. It just feels like, he's thrown into the spotlight and he doesn't know how to handle it. And everybody's trying to influence him. But I think, yeah, walking away from things that don't serve us, the Eight of Cups. And I think that's exactly what he's walking away from, is all these influencing people, because he realizes he doesn't need them. That's the difference between the felon and Vance. The felon is, probably being blackmailed for entertainment purposes only. Needs the circles of support for his own ego. Vance probably isn't. And if he is, everybody knows what it is, and it's not a big deal to most voters. So whatever. I just don't see him being that strongly influenced. I never have. I hope I'm right. I could be wrong. We get the Two of Pentacles, juggling money, overseas influences. And we get the Hermit card in December, isolation, introspection, trying to figure things out. And in January, we get kind of a full steam ahead type card with lots of fiery messages. And we get the King of Wands, more eloquent speaking, but probably from an opposition point of view. These feel like oppositions. And we get something being inevitable. And I think what's inevitable is the fact that he's just not going to be able to govern the way that he wants to. And we get justice underneath. I think he would like to govern, bombastically and in a similar manner to the felon, but I just don't think that he can get away with it. So I think that's just not what's going to happen. Um, Nobody's going to go along with it. That's the problem. Excuse me. What do we need to know about junior varsity Vance for the next 6 months? Excuse me. Yeah, fiery messages coming forward in October. Seeds being planted in November. Celebrations in December. And we get the Nine of Pentacles again, having everything that he needs, maybe not everything that he wants in January. And walking away from things that don't serve him anymore in February. I think this is like turning his back on Pam Bondi, right? Firing her, firing probably Cash Patel, because they're just distractions. And we get lots of anxiety in March for him. We get the Magician card. This is kind of an immature energy of thinking he has everything under control. I think he realizes he doesn't. at some point, which is probably good for the country. Um, let's see. What do we get for junior varsity Vance over the next 6 months? We get for university Vance over the next 6 months. Yeah, I think he takes over in October, November, December. But really gets his feet on the ground in December. We talked about that delay in the funeral. I think that's an awkward period. I think the cards are kind of picking up on that too. You're the spy in the camp in October. We get fighting again in November. I think we got that same card in that same spot for Bondi. We get the Democrats in December. Deceit, deception, dishonesty, already on top of 1 7 of Swords in January, trying to get away with something. We had justice. I think justice is the big theme here. And we get guardrails. Yeah, I think things get put back, not perfectly by any stretch. Underneath, we have judgment. But it does feel like things get put back into kind of a balanced, more balanced way. Obviously, we're going to disagree with everything he does, but it feels more balanced in the sense of it's not as erratic. So in October, there's all this volatility. We're living through it right now. Um, we get emotional messages coming forward. We'll have to wait and see what that one is. People turning their back and walking away. I think this is Republicans when it comes to the shutdown vote, but we'll see. And we get fiery messages being sent, and we get a spy in the camp. This could have to do with the Epstein files as well. And then it's like he takes over in November is what it kind of feels like, or late October too. Uh, this is what happens after death, and then he's juggling money, trying to decide overseas stuff, planting seeds, and there's a lot of fighting about how he should proceed. And you know, I think there's a period where he really is quite tattered, quite frazzled, needing to rest. But then he gets his footing. But Republicans don't like him. They decide they don't like him. At least the voters don't. And, there's celebrations in the street. This feels like there could be this delay that I was talking about. And who knows? The celebrations after the felon goes could last months. Who knows? And then we get our card for the Democrats. In January, we have the end of the big cycle, which of course is, the end of the year. That's a big cycle too. But this feels like the end of the chaos. In the sense of, every day not knowing what's going to be announced. Like things are just going to be more predictable. They're not going to be good. There's still going to be deceit and deception. But I think it's I think it's handled better. I think there are bigger people talking out against it. And, while he has all the resources he needs, people know that he's crooked. And I think that's the biggest part there. And we get justice and the Nine of Pentacles, things balancing out. The country has what it needs. It has an eloquent speaker, probably a Democrat. The country starts walking away from Vance very soon. Like he's not president for long before they start to walk away from him. And we get justice again. These are 3 justice cards here out of the 5 decks. And then in February, he has some support, but the truth keeps coming out, which makes things inevitable. And he ends up just feeling really anxious and it's like there's some protection put up, some guardrails put up for the country. So all in all, I don't think it's a good 6 months for him, other than he becomes president. I guess that could be a career goal, but I don't think he's able to do as much damage as the felon. That's what it feels like to me. It's always felt that way. So let's hope that's right. All right, thank you for watching. I'll be back with another video soon.